والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى وما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Yusuf and I'm 13 years old. I have studied the Quran for 4 years, alhamdulillah, and I have completed the memorization of the Quran. I first started memorizing and trying to learn the Quran when I was 7 years old. I had no idea how to read or how to even alif ba ta tha. I didn't know anything, and that's when I first met Shaykh al-Kareem.
He first started on a part-time basis. He was obviously keen to memorize the Quran and would come 1 or 2 days a week, and then eventually he committed himself to the memorization of the Quran.
And then I decided to step it up a little and start taking the full-time classes at Dar ibn Abbas. And it was the most difficult and most hard journey that I've ever tried to undertake. Many times I just felt like I would never be able to do it, and I thought that I would never actually get there because it's not exactly easy. And every night I would be like in dua, like asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I can memorize the Quran, But alhamdulillah, like due to Allah's mercy, last year, alhamdulillah, I finished the Quran.
My name is Ismail Sutuhi. I'm 14 years old. I memorized the Quran when I was 10, and it took me 1 year and a half. When I first began, I used to not know how to read, and my dad used to read on me, and I used to follow him.
We started with Ismail actually when he was 3 years old. Of course, that was Qul Huwa Allahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu Rabbil Falaq, and Al-Fatiha. This first started, and then we moved to phase 2, where we actually start sitting with him and having a program, and that started when he was 5 years old. And then what was really made a big difference was the start of the Dar al-Quran.
When I started there, I used to do 1 page every day, and I used to be constant. After that, I increased to 1.5. By the end, I used to memorize 6 pages a day, like toward the end.
The students that attend Dar al-Quran, they're all very, very hard workers, alhamdulillah, and they attend 5 days a week from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And the program itself is very intense, so they're making a lot of sacrifices and that.
They say the time is the top of your wealth, so I have to make most use of it, and doing it in Quran, so spent my time on a beneficial thing. I still have friends that I joke with them the right way.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Zakaria Al-Baba. I'm 15 years old. I've been studying the Quran ever since I was 11, and inshallah very soon I'll be finished.
How long have you been coming to the Quran school, Zakaria?
The start of this year.
How much have you memorized?
7 juz.
7 juz, mashallah. When a person memorizes the Quran, ultimately the first one to benefit from that effort that he puts in is the individual themselves. But also his parents. The Prophet ﷺ told us in a hadith clearly that the parents of the person who memorizes the Quran will receive a crown on the Day of Judgment, the brightness of which is stronger than the brightness of the sun.
So just thinking how my parents will be rewarded, I'll be thinking like, wow, how would I be rewarded?
I wanted to be from the special people of Allah. So when He calls my name, one of His doors come and I read the Quran to him.
But it doesn't end there, because the Prophet ﷺ also said that the best of you are those who memorize the Quran and then go on to teach the Quran. And what do you want to do when you grow up, Yusuf?
Become a sheikh.
You want to become a sheikh, so you're going to memorize all those books behind you? Yes? Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
أمن هو قانت آناء الليل ساجدا وقائما يحذر الآخرة ويرجو رحمة ربه قل هل يستوي الذين يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون.
The biggest responsibility is not really to memorize the Quran, it's more to act upon it. And that's not just for people who memorize it, that's for every single Muslim.
if it's going to be to impress the people, or if it's going to be just as a hobby, as something to do, you have to act upon that Quran that which you have memorized. Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, he said in his book, he said, "Al-ilmu bila amalin junun wal-amalu bighayri ilmin la yakun." Knowledge without action is madness, and action without knowledge is void. And if you do not make amends for days gone by, you will say tomorrow on the day of resurrection, "Send us back so that we may act virtuously." And it will be replied to you, "O fool, you have just come from there."
The ultimate aim and goal of any teacher of Quran is for the student to memorize and then act upon the Quran. And acting upon the Quran is following in the footsteps of the greatest of all men, the one whom our Lady Aisha radiallahu anha describes as being a walking Quran.
I think we should take that as an example, and we should try to follow him and follow in his footsteps. Even just doing little sunnahs, like using the miswak, or even just stepping out of the house with the left foot.
Any sunnah I knew that he done or said, I implemented it, or tried my best to implement it. And to me, he was my master.
The Quran is one of the great sunnahs of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many Sahaba have memorized the Quran, many of the ulama, and they say the first step to knowledge is the memorization of the Quran, and it's a big ni'mah, it's a big blessing, it's a great gift from Allah, and it's one of the miracles of this ummah.
In relation to the memorization of the Quran, it is truly a miracle. In verses, a number of verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Qamar, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ, that we have made the memorization of the Quran easy, so is there a person who is there to memorize it?
I remember one student was saying to me, after he'd finished memorizing the Quran, he was like lost for words. He didn't know what to say, he didn't know what to do.
I think I must have been really exhilarated, because I realized that everything that I'd, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'd worked so hard for over like the period of 6 years, 7 years, that was all actually, it was going to happen from the will of Allah, and that it was going to become a reality. It was something that I don't think I can describe accurately. It was just, amazing.
So I'm really thankful for a chance I've been given. Quran is, in reality, it's everything.
The existence of the Quran being alive in a community or in a society is in the same way the soul and the spirit of that community and the soul and the spirit of that society. And the more people we have in the society that are connected to the Book of Allah, the more alive that society becomes, so that the whole town would be like a beehive with the sound of the Quran. And that's the same sound that you hear when you come to a Quran school. No matter where you go in the world, whether it be in China, whether it be in Africa, whether it be in Asia or in the Middle East, no matter where you go in the world, it is one Quran, it is one Mus'haf. And the students in Australia who memorize the Quran, it is them continuing on with this great, rich and deep tradition of the Muslim Ummah.